Let's do our skirting boards together. So before we go any further, we do want to say that we are two 24-year-olds renovating our first home with no experience. We are DIYers and we've never installed skirting boards before this. So some of you might think we've made some mistakes and can tell it's not perfect everywhere. But I think you'll see by the end of the video that it can be done with more or less no experience. So we went with the Taurus 150mm skirting boards from MDF Warehouse, and they came primed and the quality was really good. They also actually come in 3 metre lengths, so we definitely recommend using these in your home. And the skirt boards can actually come in 120mm too, but we went for the 150 because we just preferred the bigger look and it just better suited our home. We did also get our windboards from MDF Warehouse. Again, these came primed and the quality was really impressive. So we'll add the link for the MDF Warehouse in the description below where you can make a purchase if needed. The tools we used for the project were tape measure, a square, pencil, chop saw to cut the angles, plugs and screws, grab adhesive, and a nail gun. When installing the skirting boards, we found it was actually easier to work from the door architraves and measure to the corners. However, in our bedroom, we didn't actually have the architrave on, so we just marked it on the wall and measured from the mark, and that actually worked really well for us. We used a double bevel sliding miter saw. This is important, it allows you to cut the internal corners and external corners at 45 degrees. And the cutting was probably the thing that we actually struggled with the most. And we did make a few mistakes, but we did try and take our time as much as we could, and this definitely helped because there was no rush and we just wanted it to be right. So please just make sure you keep going back and checking if needed. If possible, I would also suggest cutting the skirting boards outside as it can be quite dusty, or use like a dust extraction because we actually had no rain luckily, so me and Kian cut them outside and it just kept everything a lot cleaner and a lot easier to just carry on with the work sort of thing. In our bedroom, we did have one wall that was longer than 3 metres in length, so we then had to join two pieces of skirting together. And to do this, we cut two pieces at a 45-degree angle in the same direction, and then we glued the joint together, and that gave us like a seamless join in the skirting board. And we did also have to make two notches in the top of the skirting board to allow for the brackets for the radiator, which you'll see soon. So it was just for that bracket there, and we did the notches by using the multi-tool, and it was just simple and easy to do. Ideally, we should have had the radiators not on the wall, so we just had to get them taken off and like redone. But honestly, it works well and it looks okay, so we're happy with that. So once the skirting boards were all cut, we put them on the wall dry, and we did this to make sure that we was happy with them, and if there was any mistakes, we could correct them before actually sticking them to the wall. So then once we were happy with them, to then stick them to the wall, we used pink grip and a nail gun. You can use any other grab adhesive, but we just went with the pink grip. We just read some good reviews about that and we was happy to use it. We put this all along the full length, and then we stuck it to the wall and just applied pressure onto each point. And then we nailed it using the nail gun. And then be careful when nailing it to the wall because you don't want to hit any pipes or electrical cables. And a good tip for this is to actually take plenty of pictures and videos of the first fix. Now we could do this because we had our like whole house renovated, and Keen was the electrician, so he had the idea of where the cables were. But if not, just keep in mind potential routes for pipes or cables because you don't want to hit any of them. And the nail gun was really handy because it only left small holes that filled really easily just using filler. And then we did use decorator's caulk where necessary in places such as the top of the skirts where they connected to the walls. Sometimes the walls weren't perfectly straight, so there could be some small gaps in the places, but it comes up great with a little bit of caulk. Once all the skirting boards were on, we then started to prep for the painting, and we sanded down any areas where filler was used and went over the full skirting boards with just a bit of sandpaper, just to roughen it up a bit to help the paint stick. We used Dulux Eggshell Low Sheen paint as we wanted a more matte look than gloss, and again we read up on the reviews and we were happy to give that a try. But before painting, definitely hoover all the dust away and tape along the floor and the top of the skirting boards just to make sure that like you don't get any paint on the floors or the walls. We just used frog tape for this. And then we did 3 thin coats of paint on the skirting boards, window boards and door architraves. Then we took the tape off, and that was how they looked once they finished, which you'll see in a minute. We were really happy with the way everything looks, and again, we definitely recommend using MDF Warehouse for any skirting boards or window boards that you'd like. You're able to purchase your own products from MDF Warehouse in the link below. So thank you again all for watching, and keep up to date with our renovating journey.